Here's Brody Brazil.
In considering the balance between information and opinion that are about to be presented in this video, I'm pretty sure I already know what this is going to be. A straight-up rant. But I'm doing this with the best of intentions, and I'm doing this to kind of stand up for fans in Seattle and Los Angeles as they're getting to witness the continuation of the championship series in the American League and also the National League Championship Series starting tonight. We can say tonight, at least in that one on the West Coast, between the Dodgers and Brewers. But you've got the Mariners and Toronto, Game 2 of their series, I kid you not, starting at 2:03 p.m. later on today. Now, the Dodgers and Brewers, they kick off at least a more respectable 5 p.m. West Coast time. If you're out here in California and you want to watch the Dodgers, there's probably a chance that maybe you could squeeze a few hours off of your workday and watch the start of that Dodgers game. But for Mariners fans, out here on the West Coast, a 2:03 p.m. first pitch time. Now, that's rough. Now, I said earlier on that when there's multiple games in each league and it's the early playoff rounds, there's literally and virtually nothing you can do. There's either going to be overlap or you have to spread these games out. We only have 2 matchups. We only have 2 games. And yeah, it's unfortunate that tonight or today, depending on where you're at, that they're both taking place in the Central Time Zone and the Eastern Time Zone, right? So you've got both of them kind of on one side of the country. There's not an East Coast, West Coast split. But this is not a good thing for baseball. This is a really hard thing for Mariners fans. And let me just stand up for them for 1 second. Yeah, the Dodgers have been around this a lot. And I'm not saying every playoff game isn't as important to them. That's not it. But let me stand up specifically here for Mariners fans. This team tried and didn't get in and got close a few times, but 0 playoff appearances from 2002 to 2021. They had one of the longest active playoff drought streaks in all of professional sports. Good for them that they got to get rid of it in 2022. Happy that they're back making a solid run here in 2025. This is their first ALCS in 24 years, and the way that it kicked off yesterday in kind of magic fashion, now they've got to figure out a way to watch this game in the middle of the day. And a 2 p.m. first pitch time. I mean, if you're telling me, all right, 5 o'clock West Coast time, you can get off work early. You can figure some things out. Maybe you're squeezing an hour out of your day, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever. But 2 p.m. as a first pitch means that the game is probably going to be close to over by the time a respective, let's just say a typical 5 p.m. work shift gets over. How about kids in school? At least 2 p.m. you're probably getting out, getting close. But I mean, how much of your fan base is simply already committed to doing something else at this time of the day? It's not that they won't make time for it. It's that their plans and their life coincide with typically doing something at 2 p.m. And now they're going to miss out or going to have a hard time to follow along with, again, one of the most important games of their baseball season. Here's how the rest of the ALCS and NLCS shake out. This isn't the first and only time that there's going to be this conflict of a super early game start time. If we take a look right here at 3:08 Pacific time, so Game 3, the first home game for the Dodgers in this series, 3:08 Pacific time. Let's go down here and see if there's anything else funny. Yep, there's another one, 3:08 Pacific time for Seattle's Game 5, obviously if necessary, up in the state of Washington. 8 o'clock, that's 5 o'clock Pacific. Here's another one, 2:08 Pacific time, because it's Central Time for the Brewers. That would be a Game 6 back in Milwaukee if necessary. But a 2 p.m. start watching a Dodger game for Game 6 of that NLCS. So to think that today as well, this is the abnormal one, and maybe they're trying to get around Monday Night Football tonight, because that's also on. Something else that baseball is having to compete with, but it's literally not that. They're going to run into this several more times if these series go the respective distances. Let me just stand up for baseball in a little way here and show you what they're facing. I understand. They don't want their games or their broadcast or their ratings, most importantly, to overlap. Like, that's their number one priority, not the convenience of the fans. When would you want to watch this baseball game? And look, the mix between an East Coast and a West Coast time, it's never going to work out perfectly. If you've got 2 or 3 hours of separation, you're never going to get fans who say, well, this is the optimal game start time. It does seem like 5 West, 8 East is fair, but even 8 East, 8 o'clock first pitch start time, that's late, but it's unfortunate, but really that's the only way that kind of makes sense for most of the country. But the fact that you're having to push some of these to 2 p.m. Pacific time, and sometimes the games are going to start like not just a game that's out east that starts at that Pacific time, that's going to be the local time, or 2 or 3 o'clock as a local first pitch. It shows what baseball's number one priority is. It's not the convenience of, the actual fan bases of these respective teams and games. It's just television ratings. Baseball's telling you that ratings are number one. Ratings matter most to putting these games on. And yeah, again, this is a worst case scenario with 2 games starting. I shouldn't say, I made a mistake here, same time zone. Milwaukee technically in the central time zone, but it's generally east and generally west. It's not all west, it's not all east. But this makes it difficult, and the sequence of both of these series starting in the eastern side of the matchup versus the western side, 1 east, 1 west. This is how baseball gets played all summer long. And I mean by that, not the day game part. Yeah, sometimes you'll play a noon game on a Saturday or on a Sunday or even on a getaway day. But that's game 124 in the season, right? On a Thursday afternoon. Those happen. That's understandable. You've got to do that to get 162 in. You don't have to do that here to squeeze in all these games. There's only 2 more matchups left in the Major League Baseball season and postseason. But overlapping games is my point. Baseball gets played that way all season long. So why are we so freaked out right now? Like, we can't have 2 games going on at the same time because we need to maximize every single piece of ratings. Do you think that somebody is legitimately going to sit down and watch the ALCS game in full and then the NLCS game in full? That's going to be like 7 hours of baseball. People do that for football. They'll sit down and watch Red Zone for that long. Does baseball think that somebody's like, I got to digest all this? Or are they more interested in one matchup or the other? Or are they going to dip in for one and then dip in a little bit for the other? But baseball overlaps all summer long. What's the problem with overlapping it right now? And maybe the offset could be 60 to 90 minutes. You don't need to do one game at 2 and the next game at 5 Pacific time. Do 3:30 and 5. Do 4 and 6. Oh, that's 9 Eastern. You can't do that. But put these a little bit more together. Have them overlap. That's okay. What's necessarily wrong with that other than you're not squeezing every bit of ratings juice out of the orange as possible? And not only this, let me say this. I've been talking mostly from the fan perspective here. Starting games at these odd hours, and I don't mean odd numerically. I mean like odd as in, when else have the Mariners had a 2 p.m. game start time all season long? Either West Coast time or local time. How about a 3 p.m. start time for the Dodgers or Mariners out west? Starting games at these odd hours, it's not only unfair to fans who can't get to the games, can't watch the games, can't whatever, also the rhythm of the players and shadows. Now, this is an interesting postseason because, correct me if I'm wrong here, Brewers, Mariners, Blue Jays, all playing in retractable roof stadiums. So shadows don't have to be a thing, but now we're closing the roof just to make sure shadows aren't there. But I mean, again, it could mess with the baseball game. At 3, 4, and 5 p.m. this time of year, you've got some pretty gnarly shadows going on. And not just the body clock of the players, but being able to see a baseball either in the light of the pitcher's arms and then come to the dark of the batter's box halfway through. This is just creating oddities that don't exist all season long. And now we're throwing them in. And then just go back to why. Why are we doing this? Because we're trying to maximize television ratings for all of these games. So look, I know there's not necessarily an A-plus perfect solution when you've got these matchups, you've got these locations, you've got these time zones. I get it. But under what circumstances should there ever really be a 2 o'clock Pacific time first pitch of a baseball game during a work week? I just think baseball can do better. Baseball can send a better message like, hey, we want to do this for Seattle and Los Angeles and West Coast fans. If you want to put your audience, if you want to put the most eyeballs in front of a television, is it really going to happen at 2 p.m. West Coast time? Let me know what you think about all this in the comments section below. Thumbs up down below too. That helps me, the video, and the channel. And don't forget to subscribe. I would love to see you back here next time.